Hey there, fantasy owners. Welcome to LTC Fantasy. We're continuing along with our team reviews. Not sure if you're watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the watch or listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Today we're going to look at the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll take a look at their depth chart according to dailyfaceoff.com. Really do find them to be the most accurate, especially during the regular season. So we'll sneak a peek at their projected goaltending tandem, their defensive pairings, forward lines, mention which of these players are on specialty team units to really help you determine their fantasy value for your upcoming drafts there, and hopefully get you running right out of the gate in your leagues there. So we'll get right into it. The goaltending tandem in Tampa, same as last year, Andrei Vasilevskiy and Brian Elliott. Now, Vasilevskiy is 28 years old. Last year got into 63 games, so played a ton. He was 39, 18, and 5 with 2 shutouts, a 2.49 goals against average, and a .916 save percentage. Realistically, he does it all for you. He'll be first or second goalie off the board. Some drafts have taken Shesterkin, some have taken Vasilevskiy, but really you can't go wrong with either of those pesky Russians, so to speak. Tampa should be a really strong team, and Vasilevskiy will be very fantasy relevant as you have a okay backup in Elliott, but Vasilevskiy is going to have the reins, and he'll get the majority of the starts there. His counterpart Elliott, on the other hand, 37 years old. Last year, 19 games played. He had 11 wins, 4 losses, 3 overtime losses, 1 shutout, 2.43 goals against average, and a .912 save percentage. Now, Elliott, he doesn't provide a whole bunch of fantasy value for you. You can spot start him if you do one of those rotating goalie strategies, where he'd be a very nice option if he is a confirmed starter, as his records show. Tampa being a strong team, he's going to get you a nice win, especially when he had 11-4-3 record there. Outside of a spot start, there's really not much value in Elliott, unless, of course, Vasilevskiy got injured, but knock on wood, that's not going to happen, and Vasilevskiy is going to be the guy and going to get you a lot of fantasy points in the goalie ranks there for you. Defensive pairings, or top pairing will be Victor Hedman and Cal Foote right now. Hedman, he should be on the top power play unit, second PK unit. He's 31 years old. Can't say enough good things about him. He's really strong fantasy defenseman. Good defenseman even outside of fantasy, obviously. Norris candidate or winner almost every year. 82 games played. He had 20 goals, 65 assists for 85 points. So average over a point per game. Not quite Yossi numbers, but you got a defenseman averaging over a point per game there. It'll be him, Makar, Yossi that are leading those stats again for sure. 38 power play points, 93 hits, 129 blocks. So for offensive guy, does get a lot of blocks and hits for you, and 219 shots on goal. Should be one of the top 5 defensemen taken in almost every draft out there, no matter what format you're playing in, and you really can't go wrong with drafting him. Cal Foote, he's only 23 years old. Surprised they have him listed on the top pairing, but we're going with it there because last year was basically his rookie year. 56 games played, only 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points, 83 hits, so nice hit total. For a young kid, 57 blocks, 49 shots on goal, but realistically not a lot of fantasy value for you. If you're in a really deep keeper league, might take him just because if he does stay on that top pairing, his ice time will increase, and he might be able to get you a few extra points as a depth defenseman there. Second pairing should be Mikhail Sergachev and Eric Chernak. Now Sergachev, he should be on the second power play unit, top PK unit. He's only 24 years old. Last year, 78 games played. He had 7 goals, 31 assists for 38 points. So basically a half point per game defenseman. 7 power play points. Nice amount of hits, 139 hits, 123 blocks, and 149 shots on goal. You'd be talking about him a lot more if he wasn't kind of shadowed by Hedman there. He will be a fantasy relevant defenseman. Obviously doesn't have the offensive part of the game like Hedman does, but he isn't going to hurt you in that department either. And should be fantasy relevant for you. Definitely will be taken in most drafts there. Chernak, he should be on the top PK unit. 25 years old, got into 55 games last year. He had 1 goal, 12 assists for 13 points, 165 hits, so really nice hit total there. 73 blocks and 86 shots on goal. Outside of hits, he doesn't offer you a whole bunch right now, so he's more than likely getting passed up in a lot of drafts. But just with being in Tampa, depending how injuries go, he might be relevant in a banger league, but realistically, there should be better options out there for you, unless you're in a really deep league there. You got to be scraping the barrel. Third pairing should be Ian Cole and Zach Bogosian. Now, Cole, he's 33 years old. Got into 75 games played. He had 2 goals, 17 assists for 19 points. Had 110 hits, 104 blocks, 77 shots on goal. Unless you're in a really deep league, you're probably not taking him. Not a whole bunch of fantasy value there for you. Still a nice defenseman to have on your team. Fantasy roster, not so much. Bogosian, very similar story. Should be on the second PK unit. He's 23 years old. Last year only got into 27 games. He had 1 goal, 6 assists for 7 points, 30 hits, 27 blocks, and 29 shots on goal. So again, you're probably leaving him alone there. Not a lot of fantasy value. So we'll move into their forward lines. Their top line should be Steven Stamkos, Braden Point, and Nikita Kucherov. A lot of firepower up front there. Of course, all 3 are very fantasy relevant, but let's go through them and talk about their stats a little bit there. Steven Stamkos, he should be on the top power play unit. He's 32 years old. Last year, 81 games played, 42 goals, so another 40-goal season for him. 64 points, 106 points last year, so another player that broke the century point mark there. 36 power play points through 93 hits, 31 blocks, and 241 shots on goal. Realistically, probably the second most relevant forward fantasy-wise on the roster. Braden Point's close, but Braden Point next. He should be on the top power play unit, 26 years old. Last year got into 66 games. He had 28 goals, 30 assists for 58 points. So nice point production. Of course, you're going to draft him. 22 power play points, 75 hits, 27 blocks, and 176 shots on goal. The last one's Nikita Kucherov. Should be on the top power play unit, 29 years old. This is the first one I'd be taking off of their forward ranks. He only played 47 games last year, so in 47 games he had 25 goals, 44 assists, 69 points in those 47 games. He's probably really close to McDavid in the Art Ross race if he plays over the full 82 there. That's how good he is. 30 power play points, 32 hits, 7 blocks, 156 shots on goal. Second line should be Alex Killorn, Anthony Cirelli, and Brandon Hagel. Now, Killorn should be on the second power play unit and first PK unit. 32 years old. Last year, in 82 games, played all 82. He had 25 goals, 34 assists for 59 points. So nice production there. You're more than likely taking him too in your drafts. 14 power play points, had 88 hits, 26 blocks, and 164 shots on goal. So really nice all-around numbers there. A little low on blocks, but overall he's going to be fantasy relevant for you. Cirelli, the centerman, he should be on the second power play unit and second PK unit. He's 25 years old. Last year, 76 games played. He had 17 goals, 26 assists for 43 points. with the line mates that Chiarelli gets, you'd be expecting him to have a little more offensive prowess, but he'll still be fantasy relevant for you in most leagues. At least a streaming option at the worst case scenario. Deeper leagues, he's probably getting drafted there. 8 power play points, 75 hits, 67 blocks, and 146 shots on goal. Last one, Brandon Hagel. He should be on the second power play unit. He's 24 years old. Last year, 77 games played. He had 25 goals, 19 assists for 44 points. So again, like Chiarelli, more than likely most formats a streaming option, but will have some fantasy relevance in bits and pieces throughout the season there. 6 power play points, 63 hits, 32 blocks, and 125 shots on goal. Moving along to their third line should be Vladislav Nemestikov, Nick Paul, and Ross Colton. Now, Nemestikov, he's 29 years old, back in Tampa with the team that drafted him there. 75 games played. He had 16 goals, 14 assists for 30 points. So not bad production in Detroit there, and a little bit in Dallas. 1 power play point, 62 hits, 39 blocks, 91 shots on goal. Unless there's an injury, there won't be a lot of fantasy value for him this year. It might be a streaming option on light nights, but that'd be about as far as it goes with Nemestikov. Nick Paul should be on the second power play unit and second PK unit. He's 27 years old. Last year in 80 games played, he had 16 goals, 16 assists for 32 points, 2 power play points, 106 hits, 56 blocks, and 166 shots on goal. Similar production to Nemestikov. He just hits a little bit more, blocks a little bit more, and obviously shoots the pucks a little bit more. Straight points, very similar, but the other stats are there, so there'll be a little bit better streaming option for you. Probably getting passed up in a lot of drafts. So, and the last one, Ross Colton. He's 25 years old, 79 games played. He had 22 goals, 17 assists for 39 points. 5 power play points, had 153 hits, so really nice hit total, 36 blocks, and 159 shots on goal. Really similar to the other two. They're similar in production, a little bit higher on hits, a little lower on blocks there than Paul, but realistically it'll be a streaming option for you at best. And the fourth line will be Patrick Maroon, Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, and Corey Perry. Now, Maroon, he's 34 years old. It's kind of the geriatric line. Pretty old line here when I go through him. Maroon, he's 34. He's the young guy on the line. Got into 81 games played. He had 11 goals, 16 assists for 27 points. 6 power play points. Call him the geriatric line, and I'm older than all three of them. But anyways, 160 hits, 11 blocks, and 102 shots on goal. Again, not a lot of fantasy value in Maroon, but might be a streaming option if he does. He did play a little bit on the power play last year. Keep an eye on it, but realistically, not a lot of value there. Now, Bellemare, he should be on the top PK unit. He's 37 years old. 80 games played. He had 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. Not really great there. 88 hits, 44 blocks, and 72 shots on goal. Realistically, just leave him alone. There'll be a lot better options for you. And the last one's Corey Perry. He should be on that top power play unit. Not a lot of normal fourth liners play on the top power play. He's 37 years old. Last year as a 36-year-old, 82 games played. He had 19 goals, almost got that 20 goals, 21 assists for 40 points. So basically half point per game player at his age. That's really good. And there is still some fantasy relevance because he does play on that top power play unit. I wouldn't draft him, but on a light night and you got room on your roster, stream him just because it is a very potent top power play unit in Tampa Bay. Outside of that, I'm leaving him alone. But out of the 40 points, 8 were on the power play, had 73 hits, 28 blocks, and 153 shots on goal. So that's basically Tampa in a nutshell. We'll be out in a little bit with another one. After we finish these reviews, or if you want to catch some of the previous previews, we'll be coming out with our top goaltending, top forward, top defenseman episodes, some sleeper episodes, some draft strategy episodes, and of course during the regular season we have 3 episodes every week looking at different players to look at to hopefully help strengthen your roster and get you those wins or move you up in your standings. So if you don't want to miss out on these, do remember to hit like, hit subscribe. Remember that notification bell if you're watching via YouTube. If you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, depending what platform you're listening on. And again, really do hope you did enjoy today's episode. Good luck in your drafts there, fantasy owners, and enjoy the start of the season, and good luck to you all.